Eddie Howe is now the new manager of Newcastle United. And I have to be honest, a couple of weeks ago, when I heard his name being bandied about, I did have some reservations. But I've been doing some digging since, and I have to say that I have warmed to this new appointment. But can he save us from relegation? Does he have enough time? And what are his lineups likely to be between now and the beginning of January? Well, in this video, I'm going to share my thoughts on all of this. It's coming up. Hello, my name's Eddie. Welcome to my channel Tyneside Life, where I give you fan-focused matchday vlogs, balanced football news and analysis, and other interesting stuff going on in the Tyneside area. So if you're new to the channel and you don't want to miss out on any future videos that I release, hit that subscribe button and you won't miss out. It also helps my videos reach a wider audience. But before we get into the topic of this particular video, I'm asking for some volunteers, about a half a dozen, to join me for a future video, to appear in a video that I'm going to be doing, which is going to be a mini pub crawl between Central Station and St James's Park during the Newcastle-Arsenal match on Saturday the 27th. So you must be willing to, obviously, to appear in the video. I'm looking for males and females. It'll be a right laugh. We'll get some match analysis. And like I say, I'll be putting that out as a video. So if you're interested, if you find my email address on my About page and drop me a line, that'll be absolutely great. So without any further ado, let's take a closer look at Eddie Howe. So how did we end up with Eddie Howe? Well, by all accounts, when they had their initial interviews a couple of weeks ago, the board was split between Eddie Howe and Unai Emery. But they did err on the side of Unai Emery, but unfortunately shot their bolt a little bit on that particular Tuesday evening by over-reporting exactly where the negotiations were, and that scared off Unai Emery. However, as reported in the athletic.co.uk, the owners were actually more impressed with how Eddie Howe performed in his interview compared to Unai Emery. They found his preparation really thorough and detailed. They were really impressed by how much research he'd done on the club, the team, the current predicament that we're in, and also what he would do to try and remedy that. Other reasons obviously adding into his favour were the fact that he's available, he wants to come to Newcastle, and there are three players at Newcastle who used to play for Eddie Howe when he was at Bournemouth, namely Callum Wilson, Ryan Fraser and Matt Ritchie. So Eddie Howe was basically famous for what he did at Bournemouth. Apart from a tiny stint at Burnley, he's been basically a one-club man. And he brought, over 8 years or so, he brought Bournemouth from the brink of relegation from Division 2 to 5 seasons in the Premier League. And by anybody's standards, that's absolutely astonishing. And he did it by playing a particular type of football throughout those many years, which was attacking, possession-based, quick counter-attacks and pressing high up the pitch when they didn't have the ball. That for me is very reminiscent of how Benitez set Newcastle up when we were in the Championship. Unfortunately, a downside for Eddie Howe and Bournemouth was over those seasons in the Premier League, they were letting in far too many goals, and that was their downfall in their final season in the Premier League because they were relegated because of that very thing. Now that has to be a little bit concerning because Newcastle United currently have conceded 24 goals, only Norwich have conceded more, so that's something Eddie Howe is going to have to really concentrate on moving forwards. Fortunately for us, Eddie Howe is also big on personal development, which he revealed in an interview with Sky a few months ago. So in these 15 or so months that he's been out of work, he hasn't just sat on his backside doing nothing. He's been learning more about the game and the tactics and the structure in order for him to develop himself into a better manager when the time came. What also is a huge advantage is his management style, especially towards the younger players. He's very hands-on, he's very one-to-one in coaching and bringing those younger players on. That's going to be brilliant for the likes of Joe Willock, Jacob Murphy, Jamal Lewis and Sean Longstaff, all players who are suffering a little bit with their confidence. So you'll very quickly, when he comes in, he's going to motivate the team by having a talk, having a discussion, telling them about his particular vision going forwards. And I'd be very surprised if any of the Newcastle players don't want to be involved in this exciting time. I also see this as a time for Ryan Fraser to come out of his shell at last. Under Howe, Ryan Fraser was an excellent player. He caught my eye when Bournemouth were playing Newcastle about 3 years ago. I thought he's a really tidy player, but it just hasn't happened for him at Newcastle, and he works really well with Callum Wilson working on the left-hand side of the field. So I think we've made a brilliant appointment in Eddie Howe now. The only thing that concerns me is, has he got enough time to impose his management style on this underperforming Newcastle United? And for me, it's probably 50-50. So in terms of how I think he's going to get our teams lined up between now and the beginning of January, I think he's going to use two main systems which he used at Bournemouth, which were a variation of the 4-4-2 called the 4-2-2 and a 3-4-3 formation, depending on the opposition that we have. But he'll have his eyes firmly focused on these next 10 games, which include up to Southampton away on the 2nd of January. And we've got 3 potentially winnable home games against Brentford, Norwich and Burnley. And I think he'll also be hoping for 2 or 3 scraped points from elsewhere. I think by the end of Christmas, certainly by the 2nd of January, we need a minimum, an absolute minimum of 16 points going into the second half of the season to give us a fighting chance of getting out. So one of Eddie Howe's favourite formations, the 4-2-2. I think he's going to have Fraser up on the left midfield with Wilson as a centre forward as his preferred option there. On the right you have Maximum, which I think he operates really well on the wing, with Joe Linton as a second striker, rather reluctantly. Maximum is interchangeable with Jacob Murphy, and you could actually move Maximum up into a second centre forward position if you needed to. What puts me off about that, having Maximum up front with Wilson, is that I think Maximum could get in the way a little bit. I think he's more effective as a winger. And plus Joe Linton, he's probably a better target man for crosses coming into the box. For the 2 in defensive midfield, I'd have Hayden and Willock. Although you could have Sean Longstaff in there instead of Hayden. He does statistically have a better tackle rate, but I think Hayden is a better all-round, better defensive midfielder at the moment. One of the advantages of this system as well is that you could also consider squeezing in Fraser and Maximum. That would allow the likes of Lewis and Manquillo, who are rather deft at attacking wingers, to get up the field. Another favourite of Eddie Howe's is a 3-4-3 formation, which basically means swapping a centre forward for a centre back, making it a little bit more defensively compact when Newcastle haven't got the ball. It also allows the wing backs, Ritchie or Murphy, for example, to push forward, and even gives a bit more opportunity for Willock to move into a kind of a second centre forward position, with the luxury of having a little bit of a stronger defence. So there we have it. Eddie Howe is now officially the manager of Newcastle United, and I'm really, really excited about this now. And tomorrow morning I'm sure there'll be a training and they'll have a big team meeting to discuss the way forward. But make no bones about it, Eddie Howe's got a really, really difficult job on his hands to keep us in the Premier League. Out of the next 10 matches, we're probably going to lose 5 of them, if not even more. So we can't create a drama every time we lose a match. It just spreads anxiety amongst the fans. Tone down the rhetoric. Let's get behind the club, get behind the manager, get behind the team, and I'm sure it'll be fine. If you enjoyed the video, give us a thumbs up. Let me know what you think in the comments below, what you think Eddie Howe's going to do. I've just been giving you my opinion. I'm certainly no authority. And don't forget, if you want to be notified every time I release a new video, hit that subscribe button. And until next time, catch you later.